And welcome to the Striped Onion Show, where we peel them back good. And now to our host, the man with the plan, Sergeant Peel.
Hey, welcome back, friends. I've got a great show today. Let me tell you. I keep saying, let me tell you, because I say, let me tell you for a reason. It's a really good friend of ours. It's an old friend of ours, and it's one that's got a great story. You're going to really like this. You're going to enjoy today's show. Can I say this guy's a cop turned TV star? Griff Garrison, old buddy of mine. He actually worked in Augusta, Georgia with the Richmond County Sheriff's Office, worked his way through road patrol and into investigations. You'll hear about that in just a second, but he ended up on this TV show called Hunted on CBS, 2017. Just look it up real quick. If you don't believe me, I mean, you're going to see something. You're going to be like, oh yeah, I remember that show. Griff was on that show and he's on our show today. You're going to hear his impactful story. And I'm telling you, it can change lives, just like many of our other shows. With that being said, share this show across our social media platforms. We need your help to get the word out. That's what makes the difference in this show. We don't care about anything other than reaching the one that needs to hear this show. That's what we need. That's all we ask for. Share it. But I don't want to wait any longer because, if you know Griff's a funny guy. This is a decent show. This is a decent story that you're about to hear. So without further ado, let's go straight into Griff's story. Oh, Griff, look at you, Bo. What you doing?
What's going on, Sarge? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How is the beautiful, sunny state of Florida going?
It's open for business. I'll tell you that. It's kind of sad, most of the country being shut down during the pandemic, but we are open in Florida and it is sunny. So don't hate me.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm in a camping club with a bunch of other first responders. And there's been some rumblings about making a run to Florida, just so you know. So might be hitting you up. Might be hitting you up.
I got a pull-out couch.
Oh, no. We don't need all that. We got.
Oh, right. You got the. That's right. I'm sorry. You travel in style.
Yeah, we bring the RVs. We bring the campers. We'll trust me. We'll be self-service, no problem. But To my SOSers out there, I want y'all to know Griff Garrison here today. Griff is a old buddy of mine. I've known him for about, 10, maybe more years.
Yeah, over 10 years probably.
Griff used to be an officer. He was a law enforcement officer, deputy sheriff in Augusta, Georgia, Richmond County Sheriff's Office. Right when he came off the road, he did have a critical incident on the road, but when he came off the road, got into investigations and then ultimately into homicide investigations and extremely successful. I love hearing his story. I hear his story a couple of times here and there, but Griff has got a unique story and we're going to bring that to the table here in a minute. But Griff, you want to take a minute and just greet everyone and let's get this thing rolling.
How y'all doing? My name's Griff.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Well, I'm going to brag on you, Bo. I'm telling you, I'm stoked that you're on the show. So a lot of people.
That was a joke. I'm sorry.
No, I knew you were going to do that. That's kind of why I laid it out that way. I mean, seriously, this is the kind of relationship we have. Griff is such a great friend. I knew that was coming. I really did. I kind of laid that. So, So Griff, when he got out of law enforcement, he pursued something that was personal and passionate to him. And I'm bringing it up right now. So Griff was able to become a kind of a little bit of a celebrity on TV. He did this show that came out back in 2017 called Hunted. Yeah. It was on CBS, and it was a really cool show. And for instance, I'll tell you, my son loved watching it. We had to set everything up so that it revolved around watching that episode that time, that next week or 2 weeks. It was every 2 weeks or every week?
Every week, once a week. Yeah, that's awesome to hear.
So we had to set it up around that, and usually it was me and him, and sometimes my wife might have jumped in and watched it too. But we love watching it. We love watching you, Team Alpha, Buck Smith, what was U.S. Marshal, wasn't he? Retired U.S.
Oh,
Marshal?
yeah. Oh, big time. True law
So,
enforcement right there.
Yeah. I mean, great team you two made. And to be honest with you, all the teams on there seemed like they worked well together, which, goes back to how you throw two cops from the different sides of the nation in the same room and tell them to solve a crime. They're going to work together like they've been working together forever. So,
yeah. But I'll tell you, I hate to interrupt you. Cool story right there. You're talking about two cops from different parts of the world. Buck and I were both from Georgia at the time. We only lived like 50 minutes apart from each other, right down I-20, which was crazy, and had never heard of each other. I mean, different fields, him on the federal side, but it's kind of interesting that we both ended up from the same general area.
Oh, yeah. It was the same way with many of the other teams because, there was little team highlights here and there that you'd see. And same thing. You might have somebody who is, a former Navy SEAL, I think was one of them. And then
Andy Stump. Yeah.
And then he had a partner that was a retired law enforcement, if I remember right.
Yeah. Oh, dang, you put me on the spot. He's going to kill me when he sees this.
You know what I'm talking about. I mean, you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, Lord, I can't believe I can't think of his name right now. It'll come to me. That's what happens when you get old.
Hey, no, that's what happens when you get important. You start forgetting.
No, I don't know about that.
No. Well, I'm gonna tell you, I am really thankful for you, your life, your passion. So I'm glad you're on my show today. I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to day to do this.
Thank you for having me.
Let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
What got, so we'll talk about the CISM world, the critical incident stress management world. Okay. Tell us what got you down that path and what got you involved, and ultimately how me and you became friends.
All right. So I'm gonna use Kathy Daniel. As some of y'all know, Richmond County. She was a very integral part of me getting involved and going to the critical incident seminar in North Carolina. I kind of jumped ahead on that, but what happened was I was, I guess, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks out of the FTO program, brand new in law enforcement. No background in law enforcement. My background was finance, and like I said, 2-3 weeks out of the FTO program, and I got a call to Five Guys Burgers and Fries for an individual that was eating their peanuts for free, drinking water, and he was taking a bath basically in the restroom. They wanted him to leave. Long story short, we were with an altercation. He pulled the gun, and I ended up, shooting, and he lost his life. So everybody was kind of in awe of, okay, we've never had this happen, or it's been a long time. This is a brand new cop. Like, how's this fixing to happen? Like, oh my, what's fixing to happen with Griff? And I felt like I dealt with it pretty good. I at the time, I felt like I did, I guess. But what ended up happening is it brought up things from my past that had nothing to do with law enforcement. And it brought up issues that I had not dealt with, of me being molested as a teenager. And I had never really dealt with those issues as an adult. I thought I had as a child, but I did what everybody does and just kind of suppressed them and pushed it to the side. And took me down a dark road. And Kathy actually saw a post that I put on Facebook and immediately reached out, I believe, to Pat Cullinan and Andy Carey, I believe, which I think have both been guests on the show, Sarge, if I'm not mistaken. And
yes, they have.
Great individuals. Yep. Oh, yes. And I think it was Andy that reached out to me initially and said, look, we're putting this event on in North Carolina. I know it's short notice, but I got approval from your department. Why don't you and your wife, Rebecca, why don't y'all come with us, and we'll jump into some things. And they did it's been a while, and I'm gonna butcher it probably, but is it EMDR? Is that what the rapid eye movement?
Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. EMDR. You're on it, buddy.
Okay. So and it worked wonders. I mean, that was probably the best thing that has ever happened to me as far as law enforcement wise, getting help. And I can't thank Kathy and Andy enough. And then that is where you and I met at that, and just hit it off immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. And your beautiful wife too, of course. I'm glad
Yep,
she's been a part of the picture, because she's been not just a soundboard for you, but I'll be honest with you, she's been a driving force for you. I've seen it myself.
Yeah.
We've attended fundraisers together. I mean, y'all are a great team. So
Thank you.
tell her I
Thank
love
you.
her when you see her in a little bit too.
I will. Absolutely. But
So,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I was going to tell you, keep going. Tell me about, once you got back from North Carolina. So he talked about PCIS, North Carolina. It's done around several states: South Carolina, Georgia, Texas. You get up into Virginia, New York, over in the Midwest has got it in a few states, and it's continuing to expand across the nation.
Right.
We've had Dr. Eric Skidmore, the Reverend Dr. Eric Skidmore, on the show before. So I'm not saying, and I told him he was the only preacher that I could call a thief, because he kind of took the concept from the FBI and molded it into what it is today. He's credited for it here in South Carolina, and then turned around and expanded it to what it is now across the nation, in which you attended with your wife. It's made for not just the first responder, but it's made for the spouse as well. So, right. As well as I do, Rebecca got some love and care out of that as well that she needed, because
absolutely,
Griff went through a crappy incident, but a lot of times we forget the spouse goes through it too. So, and they're usually shut out more. So,
it's interesting because Beck and I, we had the conversation, and I don't know if, other spouses that watch this can relate, but she talks about how I wasn't a cop when we first got married. And so a lot of times you get married and you're already a cop, and the spouse, that's all they know is their husband or wife as a cop. But for her, she knew me before that. So it was a little bit, her take on what I was going through was a little bit different. And something that comes to my mind about the shooting, for instance, is I remember the first day of police academy when I went. The major comes in and he asked one question. He asked everybody to raise their hand, raise your hand if you're prepared to take someone's life. And of course, I think we were all male in our academy, but all macho, all raised their hand. Yeah. Oh yeah. And just a couple months later, I went back and had lunch with him. And I told him, I said, you need to add something to that. It's not, are you prepared to take someone's life if you have to, if the situation calls for it. It's, are you willing to deal with what comes after that?
Yeah.
And I think, the old school law enforcement, you do it. And of course, TV sensationalizes it or whatever, and you're involved in a shooting, take someone's life, no matter what happens or whatever the critical incident is. And you go to the bar and you have some drinks with your buddies and you're high-fiving and everything. Yeah. That's not it at all.
Yeah. That ain't even close.
No. And it stays with you. If anybody says that it doesn't stay with them, I'm sorry, they're lying. I'm telling you now, you're a liar. It does stay with you.
Absolutely.
There's not, I'm not gonna say there's not a day that goes by, but there's not a week that goes by that I don't think about my shooting, because it was him or me and I didn't have a choice, but I wish it hadn't have happened. I'll be honest with you. I would love for Kevin to be alive right now, even though he was trying to take my life. But it is what it is.
That's not an ill thought. I've been through several shootings myself, and I'm gonna tell you, to this day, I don't have any regrets about anything I've done in my career. But just like that, if I could have opted to choose option B and there not be a shooting, I think my life would be a lot more pleasant right now. It wasn't long after my first shooting that I went right into that PTSD category. And, luckily, like you said you had a couple of comrades looking out for you. I was in the same boat. And back in my first show, I talk about that. I had a couple of friends, and one of them happened to have Eric Skidmore standing beside them. And they were like, hey, pointed over at this guy and said, hey, let's go talk to him. And then they pointed at me and said, hey, y'all come here. Took me and my wife into a kitchen of basically one of the local police departments, what they call the hut, after a funeral, in fact. And they said, you two, we can tell something's up. Let's get you some help. And they kind of did exactly what Andy did to you. They went behind my back, went to my sheriff, went behind her back, went to her chief, said, hey, we need to borrow them in 2 weeks. They got to come to Columbia for a seminar. Yeah. So we didn't know what we were walking into, but when we walked out of there, it was a game changer by far.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I can't thank PCIS enough on what they did, and Andy and everybody. I mean, it changed my life, and I thought it was immediate. I'll say this, and I don't even know if you know this, Sarge, or not, but I went on about, my career in law enforcement, and then I ended up getting out to do the TV show and move to Florida and whatnot. But I kind of lost, getting out of law enforcement, I lost track, or I got off track with my life, the way things were going. And I started going back to what I was doing prior to going with Andy to North Carolina. For that was, I was lying to everyone. I wasn't being truthful. I was telling everybody everything's fine, making jokes about everything, because that's what we do. We laugh about it. We make jokes about it. And it was the furthest thing from it. I was having issues back, again with the shooting, thinking about that. It was right around Cecil Ridley's shooting, where he unfortunately passed away.
Yep. And I actually met him not 3 months before that happened on a call. And
great. Yeah.
But you could see that man's stature. I mean, there's a lot of hatred in the community for him, but I'm gonna tell you right now, you're talking about an investigator that got stuff done and solved a lot of crime. I had a lot of respect for the way he stood there and talked to not just his subordinates, because he had people underneath him, but I mean, he was just a genuine man. So,
Yeah. So right after that happened, though, it kind of set me on a downward spiral, and I had to reach out for help again, and realize that you have to be true with yourself and the people around you, and not try to be fake and be real with what's going on. And it was Patrick Cullen, and again, talking to him during all that time, and understanding that who cares what anybody thinks about you. I know we all worry about it, but honestly, when it comes down to it, the people that you live with in your house, that's all that matters. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. And with yourself. So I just had to get a refresher, I guess you could say, on what really mattered.
So you talk about the downward spiral. Now, the one thing I'm going to go to right here is, did anybody tell you that it was wrong to reach out for help a second time?
No, not at all.
I mean, nobody made you feel weird about that? I mean, so that's the biggest thing that I'm pushing out with this show. And I asked that question kind of hypothetically, because seriously, this is all about making sure that the men, the women, even the families of first responders and our military, even, because our military is doing this too, but they need to know that saying, hey, can I take a break and get a help real quick? They need to know that that's okay. I mean, that's not a problem. Is it going to cause some changes to happen temporarily? Typically, yeah. Who cares?
Right.
Most of the time, it's your family right there that's pushing you, saying, hey, get help and we'll take care of what you were working on.
Exactly. And I kind of related to this. And this is something I think, unfortunately, I think a lot of law enforcement do is smokers. I used to smoke as well. I don't anymore. One of the things I'm glad I stopped. But I tried to quit 3 different times. And I had to go back and get more cessation, products and Chantix or whatever it is, and, to take, and it didn't work, and I had to do it again. Nobody frowned upon me that I was having to go back and do it again. So if anybody's thinking that the community that you're around is going to frown upon you or look down on you because you had a lapse or whatever it is, and you have to go back and get more help, they're not. But let's just say there is that one oddball that does say something, then they're not your friend. Let's be real.
That or I will even add a stipulation there, that or they really truly don't know how to address it, and they're, even to a degree, scared to address it.
Correct.
Even though they probably do care and love about you. So there's one or two, two realms I would throw in there.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm stoked that you you hit the nail on the head. It is a work in progress. Especially when you go through a traumatic event like that. I mean, any kind of traumatic loss or traumatic change in life, any traumatically stressful event is going to cause changes in a person. It is what it is. It's how it happens. It's just the same as someone who goes through a bunch of little incidents through their career and never really hits that traumatic, but you keep filling that cup up and you don't ever try to pour any of it out, and you're going to end up in the same ball game. So
absolutely. And I'll say this: in North Carolina, one of the things I realized very quickly is anybody who's been to one, I'm sure they're all kind of done the same. We're in this horseshoe shaped room with the table and stuff, and I'm listening to stories that are going down, and I'm like, very quickly I realized I'm fine. Like, I hadn't been through anything. These people, oh my goodness, I can't imagine some of the stuff that they've gone through. And from the one that I went to, I won't get into their stories, but there was one couple that I'm just like, even to this day, it makes me shake when I think of losing, family members, children, with the way that they lost theirs.
I remember that one.
Yeah, I have nightmares about their incident, and I can specifically remember them sitting right to our left telling that story.
And the sad thing is, and I'm going to tell you, and we see this and hear this all the time, they have the same vision about you.
Yeah.
Their incident, they've gone through it and dealt with it, and as horrible as it sounded, but you'll hear them say, I can't believe that guy over there went through that, or I can't believe that guy over there or that girl or that family had to deal with that. And they're feeling the same way. I mean, it's weird how that works, but it's phenomenal how it puts everybody together and the healing comes out of it. It's crazy phenomenal. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And just a quick plug, and I if I'm out of line or order on this, I'll just say this. If there's a smaller department out there, or a department head or somebody with, that they think they can afford to do something like this or whatever, reach out to somebody with a larger department or whatever it is, or Sarge or anybody with, with the organization, because there's help out there to send one of your guys to it. There's help for everybody,
Absolutely. I mean, in the CSRA, there's the nonprofit support one that provides the training for free to first responders and their spouses.
Yep. I think that's great. I'm actually going to kind of jump back real quick. You mentioned Navy SEALs earlier with the TV show Hunted. Andy Stump, who was on the show, is a retired Navy SEAL. He's ambassador for the Navy SEAL Foundation, and he's real big into this realm, peer support for the military does. And I actually want to link the two of y'all together because he has a podcast as well called Cleared Hot, and he does a lot of work in this as well. And I think that would be something good for y'all to collaborate on something with Sergeant Peel.
We would love that. Everybody at the show here would love to do stuff like that. The whole thing about PCIS, about CSM teams, whether it's a department or a state, you realize that, how well they work is because they have so many different other teams and partnerships across the nation. That's why it works so well. We kind of give Eric Skidmore crap because if a department calls him, and I've been around him when a department calls him, say, hey, we had an officer involved in XYZ type incident. And then he'll ask a series of questions. And basically it's because he wants to make sure he puts the right peer with the people affected, or peers or team, whatever. And we kind of joke around like, if you needed a left-handed Chinese officer shooter, Eric's he probably knows one. I mean, that's how it is. Do you need a 5 foot tall female shooter? I mean, you just go to Eric and say, Eric, you know somebody who would fit this category? He's like, yep, sure do. This in North Carolina, or this one over in Georgia. There's one in Texas. I mean, he's got such a great partnership across this nation. So I keep plugging Eric, but everybody knows Eric anymore is almost the father of CISM and PCIS, especially in the Southeast. So, absolutely great guy.
But it's E though. It's not Eric, right?
Well, that's true. He signs everything E, text, emails, you name it. Yeah, awesome. I'm loving it. So real quick, we talked about a few things. I want you to just take a minute. What's the future holding for you before we start getting into our closing remarks? What's the future looking like? Are we going to put you on the spot with something? Are you going to be another TV guy? Am I going to see you again on TV?
Yes, I'll leave it at that. You are. I'll say this: the entertainment industry is weird. It's different. I'll be honest with you, but I've got a project I'm working on. I can't say what it is yet, but there is another project where I will be on TV, another major network. So
That's awesome. I'm loving it. I'm love hearing about this stuff. And I only said that because I already knew that, but
And it is, I'm sticking in the law enforcement realm. I'm still Griff Garrison, the goofball investigator from Georgia.
I love it. I'm gonna be honest with you. That was one thing I was about to ask. Is it a cop show? Because I still want to dig as much as I can for our viewers.
Yeah. It's not a cop show, but it requires there to be a lot of investigation. So,
Are you going to tell? Are you going to tell us anything else? If I ask another question, can I dig some more out? I mean, I'm almost acting like an investigator.
I know, right? Yeah. There is a show. I am on it, and I am an investigator. I'll put it that way.
All right. How about this? Is there a timeline when we can expect to see something come out about it?
I wish I knew that. That's the one thing when I say the entertainment industry is weird. It's
especially right now, the pandemic.
Yeah, that's what's so crazy. We were supposed to have already have had everything done and finished, and the pandemic shutdown with the entertainment industry just messed all that up. And their industry is real big on let's hurry up and wait, and then what's important right now is not important. Like government. In 10 minutes. Yeah.
Well, brother, I appreciate it.
A quick plug. I will say, in addition to that, though, I know you see the golf stuff in the back. I've taken the law enforcement stuff that I've learned and turned it into some training that I do with LPGA and PGA tour players. I got a couple on board and work on their mental toughness, how to stay the opposite of law enforcement, where we don't want to have blinders, and teach the players how to have blinders and only focus on what's in front of them. So,
are we talking like a coaching realm?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. I coach. I've got 2 on LPGA and 1 on PGA at the moment, and looking to sign some more. And it's strictly, I'm going to give a quick plug to Ben Rollins with the Georgia State Patrol, a class I took, the below 100 class with him. He's the one that gave me the idea of I basically teach what he taught there, just a lot more, advanced.
Well, Ben's another great guy.
He is.
We keep talking about different people. We can, yep, that's another one. There we go. So I'm about to go after Ben next on the show.
Hey, look at there. Ben, do the show.
Well, that's awesome. Listen, do me a solid. Here's what we do at the end of the show. I always like to ask my guests to drop us some knowledge or something positive that'll take us to a close on this. So if I said, hey, Griff, close us out with a good thought, what you got for me?
So, law enforcement, or first responders, if you're having an issue and you're seriously worried about what somebody's going to think because you reached out, don't. Trust me. It's not going to be an issue. No one's going to think less of you. They're actually going to think more of you and more highly of you for reaching out, for being man enough, woman enough to take that first step. And it's not the end of the world. No matter how big you feel like something is on top of you, how much that weight is for you, there is help out there and you can get it.
Absolutely. Nail on the head right there. I'm going to tell you, I'm proud of you. I greatly appreciate you and Becca. Y'all are phenomenal people.
Appreciate that.
I'm sure you got a house full of kids, I think you had mentioned earlier. So I'm not going to hold you up much longer, but
they're upstairs dying to come down.
I love you too, brother. I'll tell you, I do love you. I appreciate everything you do. I look forward to your next show. I look forward to our texts and our conversations on the coming days, weeks, and months. And as always, be safe. Take care of everything down in Florida and stay on up and up, man. You're doing good.
You too. Come on down sometime.
We will. RV will travel. Have RV will travel. It's true.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Come on, Griswold.
Hey, I got a sticker. I've got a sticker.
I bet you do. Yeah.
Have you? I'm gonna text it to you right now.
Okay.
All right, y'all. Have a good day, everyone.
See ya.
Thanks again for listening, friends. Let me tell you, we are greatly appreciative of your support of the SOS show, the Striped Onion show, and we are just as grateful for the friends we have inside our CISM network. Don't forget to share today's SOS call on your social media platforms. That is critical to getting the word out.
And also make sure to leave some comments on whichever platform you listen to us on. We will respond to you. Visit our website at some point, thesosshow.com, and check it out. See what we have there. Sign up for the email notifications about shows and events we have coming up in the future. This is all about the first responders, about their support circles. So we want to make sure that it is impactful. And until next time, we hope everyone has a great day and a great week. Y'all stay safe out there, and God bless.